Over the past few days, Steam, along with other gaming services and even some non-gaming services, have all gone down several times due to an attack of unprecedented proportions, reminding us that the internet isn't to be taken for granted. These attacks typically involve hundreds of thousands of compromised devices, all told to send as much information to somewhere as possible, in a bid to overwhelm wherever's receiving it. There's a lot to unpack here, so let's go through it all. The receiving end in this instance is companies like Steam, which seem to have had their servers temporarily taken down across the globe. We're all impacted by this, with people being dropped from online games and even being disconnected from offline ones, which still require an internet connection regardless. I'm not an expert on DDoS attacks, so I'll keep this simple and easy to understand for all our sakes. The best way of visualizing a DDoS attack is like channeling water. The attacker sends as many streams from as many sources as possible, all with the intention of overwhelming one target. And the person being attacked hopes to mitigate that attack by building a huge channel to deflect as much of that unwanted water as possible. It's a huge back and forth, with one side trying to disguise attacks as genuine traffic, and the other trying hard to filter it out regardless. What's attacking Steam might surprise you. You might imagine it's coming from a few powerful data centers. But the reality is, if anything, more insidious, and a lot harder to prevent. It could just be coming from regular household stuff, some of which might be coming from your own home. Welcome to the Internet of Things, a phenomenon where everything seems to have internet connectivity, even when maybe it shouldn't. In the past, you might have had a computer connected to the internet. Well, now you might have dozens of things, ranging from Wi-Fi extenders to CCTV cameras to smart light bulbs and fridges and toilets. All of these could be vulnerable to attack, turning them into zombies, ready to send data across the internet when they receive the signal. I'd imagine the amount of damage your connection can contribute is limited by the speed of your connection, but it's more like, if there are many potentially vulnerable things hooked up to your connection these days, then it only takes one of these to be hacked to make you part of the problem. I was actually looking into Internet of Things and was horrified to see how far these things extend. From cow collars to sensors embedded inside concrete structures to even being installed inside fricking water bottles, it's more like what isn't connected to the internet these days. Imagine your water bottle bringing down steam. So who are the bad actors controlling these botnets? Whoever possibly stands to benefit from being able to shut down stuff online. Governments come to mind. These days, a war between countries is less about troops on the ground and more about spreading misinformation and about shutting down the opposition's infrastructure, and DDoS attacks could aid with stuff like this. There could be turf wars between companies, trying to shut down each other's services, which might be happening in less regulated industries. Sometimes a post on Reddit becomes so popular that it shuts down the site that it's linking to, something people affectionately call the hug of death. Imagine that, but intentionally and maliciously. And that's kind of what's happening here with Steam. Only instead of users on Reddit, it's signals from your toilet downstairs. These sorts of botnets are also created by hacker groups, who use them either to hold companies at ransom, or to sell these botnet services onto paying customers, who wish to use them to DDoS their enemies. And I suspect the attack on Steam was simply done to prove that it could be done, to demonstrate the effectiveness of the particular botnet that was being used. And the fact it was big enough to bring down multiple massive services like Steam all at once, and apparently using just 300,000 household things, is quite concerning. The one suspected of launching the attack on Steam is the Isuru botnet, and it's only getting stronger. How strong? Meet my old favourite site. I used to love loading this up in the morning and to see how much of an attack was going on that day, where it was coming from, where it was going, and so on. Just an endless digital war where hardly any of the attackers and victims are known. All just seems pointless to a casual observer. And you can see how, as the years go on, the scale and severity of these attacks grows, until merely viewing the attack map on my computer slows it down. This site stopped being updated in 2021, but viewing the timeline you can see the scale of the attacks has only increased in ferocity over the years. The biggest of these in 2021 reached about half a terabit per second in size. Earlier this year, the Isuru botnet managed over 6 terabits per second. Last month, one of its attacks was 22, and the one that attacked Steam this month was almost 30. 30 terabits per second, which with no context is virtually meaningless. Total internet bandwidth this year is about 1,800. But just know that in the last year there have been attacks that were but a small fraction of the size of this recent attack, and even those were considered massive and unprecedented. There are companies that specialise in defence like Cloudflare, who boast over 400 terabits per second of bandwidth, which they can use to absorb the attack before it reaches the destination. I made a video the other month asking, what if CS2, Steam and Valve goes down? And it wasn't made with DDoS attacks in mind. But it's yet another way that the internet could get increasingly unstable as it gets clogged up with rubbish. this attack was brief and quantifiable, but what if bandwidth continues to grow, and as more outdated appliances get hacked, to the point where a sustained attack on Steam can no longer be mitigated? What if it's brought to its knees for extended periods of time, just for the lols? And all because you didn't remember to update the firmware on your smart toilet. Obviously the best solution is for everything connected on the internet to be highly secure and updated. But that's never going to happen. We need to consider offline safeguards now. Valve is actually very good with their offline mode on Steam. Other services were completely shut down by this attack, even for single player games, either because they assumed there would always be internet connectivity available, so made it a requirement, or simply because they didn't care enough to provide a backup should there not be internet. At least with CS2 you could still play it offline against bots if you really had to have your fix of Counter-Strike while the servers were down. But all this is, in my opinion, a chilling reminder that the internet can't be taken for granted.